Welcome back, and now let's return to the very important issue which is taking place even as we speak. What's going on in Biarritz, in this French resort, with world leaders coming from all over the globe, headed to participate in the G7 summit. The host, the French President Emmanuel Macron, said there are many files which are going to top the agenda of talks regarding the defense of democracy, facing illegal migration, combating terrorism, regarding inequality, gender inequality, regarding the investments, the trade, many things. But President Abdul al-Sisi arrived there in Paris, heading to Biarritz to participate in this very important gathering upon an invitation by his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. To shed more on that, we are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio Mr. Latif Wahba, our economic expert and writer. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Well, sir, first of all, if you just can give us and the viewers a brief background about what is G7.
G7, it is a group of the industrialized nations in the world, and established in 1975. This is, of course, to tackle with some problems in the world economy, and also what happened after the OPEC oil boycott and so on. And since that time, it takes many names. First, it was when was established in 70s. It was G6. 6 countries from the United States, from West Germany at that time, England, Italy, and France. And then after a year, Canada joined the group and became G7. In 1998, Russia also joined the group. This is, of course, to facilitate the dialogue between the East and the West, between the capitalist and the socialist and countries and so on. But after that time, I think in 2014, Russia was dismissed. This is because of some political issues, I think, for its annexations of Crimea from Ukraine. At that time, I think the American president Barack Obama declared that this is threatened the world security and violations of the Ukraine sovereignty and so on. Now, his rival, President Trump, has a new visions. He asked the G7 to let Russia again to join the group. This is, of course, because the international climate and the international political situations needs to discuss with Russia about some issues and so on. I think just now, if they let Russia to join the group, it will be G8 again.
The game of politics which I'll never understand. Moscow and Washington are in such disputes after the INF treaty and after withdrawing and with the new defense systems and missiles and stuff like that. And whenever it comes to climate change, no, let Russia be in once again. The game of politics.
Yeah.
Well, sir, let's return to this summit in specific and to the most important topics on the agenda.
I think the most important topics in this agenda, according to the French president, it will be how how to protect the climate change in the world, and also to protect the biodiversity in the world, and also to tackle with some economic issues. But as you know, this group has no mandatory decisions, and
there's no final communication.
Yeah, and also the final declarations is not binding for any country. This is a dialogue between the great economy in the world.
Yes. Speaking, Mr. Latif, about great economies, do you believe that the ongoing trade war between the U.S. and China will be tackled in this event?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is the main issues. I think they will discuss in the summit, especially after the trade war between China and the United States, and they didn't until now reach to an initial agreement, not a final agreement between the United States, China, and at the same time, as you know, this war will affect not only China but the global economy and the sense and the stock market, and you know, the deteriorations happened during the last week because President Trump declared his intentions to impose tariffs on about 100 billion Chinese export to the world market.
And he's asking American men of industry to just gather all their belongings and return back to America to have their companies there, to leave even the Chinese territories.
Yeah, of course, as you know that China in some times attracted many American companies, and even in some economic recession in the United States. Do you remember exactly when the giant car fabrications like Chevrolet, for example, offered, they presented themselves to the Chinese to buy the company and so on. This is the great war or trade war between the United States and China. As you know that the European countries tried to reach to a solution, to be a peace broker between China and the United States.
Sir, far from this issue, let's have a quick look at Egypt's role.
Yeah.
Because whenever the president is invited, he is invited as, of course, the president of Egypt and also as the president of the African Union. Yeah. Egypt received this presidency in June 2019, and as I said before, Egypt all the time and in all occasions spoke about very ambitious agendas when it comes to Africa, in all fields and in specific in the investment and trade fields. So Egypt is representing the Arab, Middle East and African nations. Yeah. Tell me about this representation and what should be our priorities before going.
Yeah, of course, as you know, we are,
the word
as you said, we are invited, or President Abdul Fattah Sisi invited as a president of Egypt, and also one of the giant economy in Africa. This is on one hand. On the other hand, as a chairman of the African Union at the same time, Egypt adopted a new agenda for the African continent to improve the standard of life in African countries, to train the African youths, and also to create a free trade zone in Africa, and also Egypt adopted a new invitation limitations for the giant economy and the international financial institutions to compensate the African countries from the effects of change of climate, so from the emissions in African continent and so on. So we have our strategic agenda for the African Union to be presented and to be discussed in the summit. This is, of course, the right of the African continent to ask the industrialized countries to help the African countries at the same time.
And do you think that this will be an opportunity for Egypt and, of course, President Abdul al-Sisi to send a clear message to the great powers around the globe about the progress, the economic progress of Egypt, and sending a message of certainty about what Egypt is capable of doing and achieving?
Yeah, of course, as you know, we have an economic reform program. All the financial institutions, even the IMF and the World Bank and so on, praised our economy, praised what we achieved in economic field in Egypt. This is, I think, it will be an experience for also can be exported to the African, not only to the African countries, but also to the international organizations. This is on one hand. On the other hand, as you know, that Egypt is trying at the same time to attract more foreign direct investment in Egyptian economy after the new Suez Canal and creating a new corridor for logistic industries in Egypt, after attracting the international companies working in energy, in transportations, and so on. I think this is, will be a chance for Egypt to present and to offer its economic reform program achievement during the last 5 years.
And sir, when it comes to climate change, as you've kindly mentioned it as a very important issue, there were even threats from Macron to Brazil to Bolsonaro regarding the trade pacts and many agreements between Europe and South America in general. What's its name? The bloc Mercosur?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of the Amazon fires.
Yeah.
And speaking about the Amazon fires as a crisis, not facing South America, but facing the whole planet.
Yeah.
Because whenever it comes to the lungs of the planet, this is something which is really going to be affect all people, all humanity in general. How do you see this, I mean, this kind of connection?
Yeah.
I mean, taking into consideration this and that. I mean, I cannot separate economy from
the
environmental issues, from climate change, from political deals. How do you see this equation, sir?
We can say that some economic progress has an effect or a side effect on the other standard of life and the people and so on. As you know that after the Amazon fires, President of Brazil declared that we are not ready, we are not equipped to tackle with these issues.
They deployed the army forces to try to combat the blazes.
They recorded about 73,000 fires a year in the Amazon forest, and you know that if we followed what declared about the Amazon forest, we will find that the emissions and the smoke penetrated about 1,700 kilometers until it reached to all the cities of Brazil and the capital itself. So I think Emmanuel Macron, French president, declared before the summit that we have to reach an agreement how to deal with such fires, especially in the Amazons. It is a kind of protecting biodiversity in the Latin America.
Yes, I'm afraid we're running out of time, but thank you so much for your insight, Mr. Latif Wahba, and writer and journalist. Thank you so much for being with us on The Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a very good day.
Nice to meet you.
And by this, we come to the end of our breakfast show, but all over the day, we are going to follow minute by minute what's going to happen in Biarritz, in this French resort, where the G7 summit is going to take place. Today, it's the arrival of world leaders to participate in the summit. Tomorrow and the day after, it's going to be days filled with sessions, with round discussions tables, and we are going to follow up what's going on there. President Abdul al-Sisi arrived in France to participate in the summit as the President of Egypt and also as the President of the African Union upon an invitation by French President Emmanuel Macron. Well, my name is Nermeen Abdurrahman, and I had all the pleasure to have with me my dear colleague, Karim Gamaletti. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Same here, Nermeen. Thank you so much. And dear viewers, till we meet again, this is goodbye.